I wrote Fearless Persistence to be a practical toolkit, not just a philosophy. I wanted to know from our panel which parts of the book actually changed how they work daily. From rethinking nostalgia to understanding the power of a narrative, here's how these concepts are being applied in real lives. Was there something that struck you that was instantly transformative or new information that you could use immediately that you wish you had a month ago, a year ago, 10 years ago? Can I start with you?
Many things.
Okay. Hit us with the list.
Definitely, I mean, just the nitty-gritty, the financial aspects. Looking at, I think one thing that really resonated with me was kind of the idea of incorporating yourself just for the appearance's sake or to feel like you've made it versus, doing something that makes strategically more sense.
Some people, they have an idea. The first thing they do is they go file paperwork and incorporate because now I'm a corporation. So what, right? Okay, now you have to file taxes. You got to pay the state $800 a month. You got to do all these other things. You may have to payroll yourself and actually take less money than you would have otherwise. But if you wait and you actually need a company, then there's a reason to do it, to be strategic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Was there something in the book that was signal or transformative to you when you read it?
Yes, No Nostalgia was interesting. I actually had beef with No Nostalgia, if I could be honest.
Yeah, be honest.
And it was because Spiral saved Nostalgia for me.
Thank
it was
you.
because it said, don't go back to a project, move forward, create something new. And I've been in this space where one of my short films, I just keep picking it apart, like I'm gonna redo this short film, but it's already done. And reading that chapter made me feel like, okay, maybe I just need to leave it alone and it could possibly transform into something. But I took No Nostalgia as, when you say leave the project, as just leaving the idea. So if Spiral came around and if Spiral said, you have ideas that you put down, you get to pick those things back up. And I was sort of using project and idea as two things that were synonymous, like the same thing. And when you really think about it, an idea can become a project, but the idea isn't a project yet. So I can leave Six Pack, my short film, as it is, but I have an idea to make it a feature film. And I've had that idea for years, and I get to pick it back up. So I beefed with No Nostalgia because it was telling me I couldn't make my feature film. But then Spiral was like, actually, you can pick it back up, but leave that short film alone.
I really believe there's no right answers in any of this. There's just experience, and what I'm hoping to do is just share the experiences that I've had with, as you were very generous, I haven't actually worked with hundreds of thousands of people. I have worked with tens of thousands of people. The thing about the creative work, and particularly aesthetic feelings or process feelings, no one's ever 100% right, no one's ever 100% wrong. There's just different ways of looking at it, and maybe there are things that you would say to me that I've never heard before, and I would just hear it in a different way because it came out of your mouth. It's like, oh yeah, that clicks. And maybe there's something in the book that you've never heard before in that way, and it just clicks. My intention about No Nostalgia is that you cannot go back to being the person you were 6 years ago. Yeah. So when you take that film and turn it into a feature or a series on Hulu or whatever you do with it, you're going to do it from who you are right now, with all the extra things you've done since you made that. From a spirit point of view, you are a different human. Yes. One of the Greek philosophers, Heraclitus, it's sometimes misquoted. It's misquoted like, you can never step in the same river again, but that's not what he said. He said, you can never step in the same river. Wasim, what about you? Is there anything in the book that you read that was transformative, signal, interesting, or that you wish you had encountered before you started your entrepreneur's journey?
Yeah, I think I read where you mentioned about narrative to sell the product, right? For example, than the product becoming the narrative itself, the story behind it, right? So that really touched me because stories sell. I didn't know before. I told you before that the issue I had was in selling.
Yeah.
But then, if you don't have a good story to sell, for example, I mean, you could do great, in terms of having a great product, but you have to back it up with a great story. Why, how, and how did you come out about that idea? How did it solve a problem for, let's say, for example, a particular ICP, customer profile, stuff like that. So that touched me really because, without this real right storytelling that actually could, let's say, for example, explain your product in a way that is more, let's say, more likable to people, for example, right? I mean, you don't have a pitch to sell. That's the whole point. You need a story, good story, good narration about, what it is about, what you're trying to solve.
Yeah, because the world is, or I shouldn't say the world, I would say that the recycling bins are full of great ideas and better products and better stories that never got done or made or marketed. The ability to tell your story, the first thing about telling your story is to know who you're telling it to. And it's about knowing really who your audience is. And being able to be so micro-targeted on your audience, you don't need a gigantic audience. You don't need to serve everybody. And certainly in the creative fields and in the software engineering and entrepreneurial fields, that's super rare. Most of the really successful tech products have a very specific niche market. And by being able to target that micro niche, you got to find those white hot fans, which will be the center of your nuclear core reactor. If you don't get them, you can never get broader. And one of the things I talk about in the book is how Lady Gaga was so strategic with her fans. And any one of us can be strategic in the same way, but her analogy is great. So the first thing that she did when she was beginning her career is that she got control of her ticket sales and where seating was located. That's a smart idea. Not everybody does that. But those that do, generally what they did is they would take their super fans and they would put them in the arena. They would spread them out, like there's maybe 15,000, 20,000 people in the big arena, and they would put them in different pockets with the idea that their enthusiasm would ignite the 100 people around them, and then everybody in the audience would scream and cheer and be on their feet. Lady Gaga took her super fans. So smart. She took her super fans. She put them all together in the really good seats down front. And that combustion of all of them in the same place at the same time ignited the arena and actually exploded her career. Those are the people that she called her little monsters. But that's because she knew who the little monsters were. And when it started, there were this many, and then there were this many, and then there were this many. But she had to start with a very specific niche audience. And so for you, the ability to market is going to start with such a specific question about who is your audience? Really, who's your audience? Not who's the end user, who's the decision maker? Who's the decision maker who can really buy it? And a good decision maker is not someone who can buy it, it's someone who can buy it, who can afford it, and will pay for it. And you have all those three. And if not, it may be a good idea that is just past its time or ahead of its time. But if so, even if there's a few and they become deep adopters, they will become your evangelists and they will spread the word. But you need those evangelists. But let me get back to narrative and storytelling. And so much of what is in this book is about the power of narrative, the power of storytelling. You all mentioned COVID. You didn't mention the state of the world right now. But the state of the world is really, really troubling, particularly troubling and complicated for creative people and entrepreneurs, because we do not adjust to things that feel bad easily. We feel them in a different way. We feel them. We are sensitive to them in a business sense. We feel the vibrations faster because of who we are and how close we are to the disturbances in the world, and we also feel them emotionally faster because of how we are psychically constituted. How societies, cultures, nations get to a place is because there is a narrative that is being followed. There's a story that's being told. Those stories have power. I do not believe that stuff happens and then people make up stories about them. I believe that stories are told and then actions are taken. There are frameworks that are conveyed as narratives, as stories, as things that are convincing and easily memorable and repeatable. What we do is so weak compared to the gigantic systems of violence or force or military might or government authority, so weak in comparison to that. But our narratives can be stronger than that. There is no reason why the words, the actions, the code of well-intended, loving, well-meaning, moral, ethical people who care about others, who live lives that want to serve others, should be any less important than any other narrative. Except we feel it is. We feel we're smaller. We feel as though we're overmatched. We feel as we're staring up like this gigantic thing that is bigger than we are, but it's not really. If this project of fearless persistence and what it means can have value, is that many people like yourselves will be able to make a step. You can find ways to get them out there in the world, and everything that you don't love about the world today started with one person telling a story. And there is no reason that the way the world is going to be tomorrow can't be with a story that one of you is telling, except that you don't always have the technologies, you don't always have the pattern recognition, you don't understand the systems underneath, which is what this project is trying to expose, to put into your hands some of those tools and the patterns that I've had the amazing privilege that the world has generously given me to just perceive and see, because I've had this opportunity to work in so many different areas and different fields. I've found that a lot of what my life is as a translator between the business people and the creative people, or the creative people and the technology people, or the boardroom and the sales managers, like just understand, because they don't talk the same language, right? But just figuring out how to do that. So that's really what this project is about. The book has certain value. It has certain information in it. Hopefully the information is valuable, and I want to come to you in just a second. We're just understanding that thing that I call culturenomics, where art and economics, or entrepreneurship and economics actually meet successfully. You can do it, and it's really hard to follow the 10 laws of culturenomics. It's really rare, but if you know what they are, at least you know what they are. At least you know what the rule book is. But Ian, let me come to you. Just in terms of your challenges, and if there was anything in the book that you found that was interesting or transformative, or that you just had a beef with.
I think the biggest thing the takeaway for me was understanding the difference between a community and an audience.
Talk about that some more.
Yeah, because I've always thought your community was your audience. But in the book, you've really talked about the audience as just the observer, and the community are the people that'll stick up for you. They'll be your champion. They'll be your repeat customers coming back and forth.
Seeing these principles in action, like the shift from audience to community, is exactly why I wrote this book. It's about moving forward without being held back by the past. If you're looking for a sign to start your next chapter, this is it.